If Speaker Pelosi visits Taiwan, it would grossly interfere in China's internal affairs, seriously undermine China's sovereignty and territorial integrity, wantonly trample on the One China principle, seriously threaten the peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait, and severely damage China-US relations. It will only lead to a very grave situation and consequences.
Now that was a Chinese Foreign Affairs Ministry official, and he was reaffirming that the United States House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan was to seek a fierce military response. But despite such concerning warnings, Nancy Pelosi still made a stop in Taiwanese Taipei, trashing warnings and threats from the Chinese government, while risking a long-time competitive relationship between the US and China. So what is the reason behind Pelosi's visit to Taiwan that was highly condemned by China? Now, to understand all of that, just sit back because I have all the answers. And it's all coming up right now, right here, when A Singer Unfolds. The United States politician Nancy Pelosi, while serving as the Speaker of the US House of Representatives, visited Taiwan, which is known as the Republic of China, earlier this month. A visit where she was accompanied by a delegation of 5 Democratic Party members of the House. But you heard me say earlier that Taiwan is officially known as the Republic of China. And that might confuse you a little bit, but it should not confuse you anyway. And this is why. Taiwan as a territory was a Japanese colony for 50 years, and that is from the year 1895 to the year 1945. And then the nationalistic government of China took over rule of the island after Japan's defeat in the Second World War. But as a country, Taiwan was founded in 1912. The times when you could not watch porn in color because it was always in black and white. Now that I think about it, I miss the good old days. I'm seriously joking because I wasn't even born in 2013.
I was actually born in 1992.
Come on. But Japan wasn't the rightful ruler of the island because before the Japanese annexation in 1895, Taiwan belonged to Imperial China, which is now the Communist China. And as of today, China considers Taiwan as a breakaway region which it intends to one day seize back. China simply wants to turn this into a family reunion, where you get to learn that your wife and the mother of your children is also your cousin. But for more about the history of Taiwan and China, I made a whole separate video that you can watch right now by clicking on the pop-up card right above here. Now, after learning that little history, you can clearly see why China somehow insists to rule over Taiwan. And that is why China seems to join in when it comes to making decisions for Taiwan. And that is decisions like if Pelosi can visit Taiwan or not, or if your father is also your auntie. That's a tough one, and because of their involvement in Taiwanese issues, China has somehow successfully blocked off top US officials from visiting Taiwan in 25 years. Until recently, when a problem like no other started surfacing concerns across the US. A shortage of something so important that without it, life will not be the way we know it today. And that, my friends, are chips, also known as semiconductors. Have you heard of them?
It's not an overstatement to say that semiconductors power the modern world. They're not only a key component of nearly every electronic device we buy and use, they also power the factories that make the electronic devices we buy and use. They power our laptops, our cell phones, our cars, our washing machines, our refrigerators, yeah, even our refrigerators. And this is just the stuff in our home. We're not even getting into all the ways semiconductors are important to the military and to the power grid.
Oh yes, chips are the beating hearts of our devices, from our smartphones, our cameras, and our girlfriends. Now, if you're watching this video, you're probably watching it on a laptop, on a phone, and of course on a plate. But whatever you're using to watch this video, understand that there's a chip or a semiconductor in there. Now, a shortage of these powerful micro devices that power our modern world is already causing catastrophic damages. Just last year, top world manufacturers stressed about the chip shortage, which became more visible during the COVID-19 pandemic. Big companies like General Motors warned that the increasing chip shortage could crumble the giant car makers' production, which might cut their earnings by over $2 billion. Then you have smartphone manufacturers who are also sharing this blow. Technology giant Samsung Electronics reported earlier this year that it expected to post only a 52% jump in profit from the last months of 2021 amid global chip shortage. The world's biggest memory chip maker estimated that it only made $11.5 billion in that period. Apart from General Motors and Samsung Electronics, the semiconductor chip shortage affects many industries, including automotive, data centers, video games, and more. Now you may be asking, what is Pelosi's visit got to do with semiconductors or Taiwan? And that is a great question, but you're gonna have to hear me out. First, allow me to talk to you about Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or TSMC for short. You see, Taiwan has something that even modern China doesn't, and that is access to the most advanced semiconductor manufacturing equipment in the whole world. TSMC is the Taiwanese company that makes bleeding-edge chips that the whole entire market can offer at its best. TSMC as a company is reported to be ahead of other semiconductor manufacturing giants like MediaTek, Qualcomm, Samsung, Intel, and Foxconn. Now, allow me to ask you one question. Does all that ring a bell or not? Because if you remember, there's been a global chip shortage. And throughout these years, American companies have been affected so much. It does look to me like Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan was to find a cure from the land of semiconductors. And as American companies continue to plummet, its biggest tech competitor, which is China, has not seen severe damages compared to its adversary. Because in China, where advanced chip design and manufacturing still lag overseas rivals, the country has been investing so much to decrease its reliance on foreign chips. So the US government already knows that combating China in a race where it's ahead, setting ties with a chip giant like Taiwan could bring America back in the game and probably claim the #1 spot globally. And how is America planning to achieve this? Last month, in a 64-33 vote, the United States Senate finally passed the CHIPS Act.
The yeas are 64.
The U.S. Senate on Wednesday passed sweeping legislation to bolster America's edge in tech and counter China, especially in the chip industry. That comes as Washington looks to ease its dependence on Chinese-made chips while confronting a persistent shortage affecting everything from cars to video games. The CHIPS and Science Act would provide more than $50 billion in production subsidies, as well as more than $20 billion in tax credits for mostly new chip plants. It could also authorize more than $170 billion to boost research to better compete with China in a variety of tech, from robotics to AI.
This will allow a $52 billion investment package that aims to boost semiconductor manufacturing in the United States. The House then approved the funding after the act had passed, and President Biden Shakur signed the legislation soon afterwards. But that is not all. America is also looking forward to working with the best. So, Nancy Pelosi's visit to TSMC in Taiwan could not be cancelled by the Chinese government condemnation. Therefore, Pelosi's visit to Taiwan was yet another step America took as part of their comeback plan. And that is because while on this visit, she managed to meet with TSMC's chairman, Mark Liu, TSMC's founder, Morris Chang, alongside Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen. It is self-evident that working with TSMC can obviously see America becoming dominant in the chip world. And that is because the Taiwanese foundry makes the world's most advanced computer chips, coveted for everything from iPhones to advanced weaponry. And with all that being said and some done, you can see that America is taking big steps towards this dream. The CHIPS Act alone will benefit 8 semiconductor companies, including NVIDIA, Broadcom, AMD, Lam Research Corporation, and Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company Limited. Now, how important is the US dominance in semiconductor production? If America dominates production, it will also dominate supply, which means that whoever wins the semiconductor race will make billions of sales, curbing prices on devices and electric cars.
Everyone knows that chips are causing car prices and phone prices and appliance prices to go up. They're going to start coming down with these investments in chip.
Advanced military and equipment. and boost employment. I'll give you an example. In Arizona, Intel has been building Fab 52 and 62, a pair of chip factories costing $10 billion each. That should go online in 2024. On completion, these new fabs are expected to create over 3,000 jobs, on top of today's available 12,000 jobs for Intel's Arizona operations. So with all that, we pose a question, and that is, was Pelosi's visit to Taiwan a diplomatic one, or she was paving way to combat the ongoing chip shortage? You should also remember that the United States considers Taiwan as a republic of China, but it also claims to help the island when it comes to defending itself, which confuses me a lot. You should also not forget to watch the video on the screen so that you understand more how things have been tense between China and Taiwan, even before Pelosi's controversial visit. And lastly, for more videos like this one, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one.